Oh, I can't believe how well this thing turns.
G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, get set to have a bit of a debate down below in the comments, because we're going to be looking at the part 2 review of, it's not the King Kong, it's the LDARC 200gt flyer, whatever it is. It's this tiny little racer that is a 5-inch. Now, Stuart, that doesn't really make sense, but yes, this is a 5-inch racer that's coming in at under 200 grams. So definitely lighter than any other quad we've got out there, and if you're worried about weight restrictions, well, something like this might be a good craft for you. But this is the fun stuff. If you want to go see part 1, a little card should pop up here. Thank you very much, YouTube. You can go look at that. That's where we looked at the text and the specs. But this is the part 2. This is where we take it out to the field, we fly it around, and we find out, how does an ultralight racer go? Is it going to be right for you? And I know it's just going to be causing a bit of debate, because in the past, some people get very heated if they all have different opinions and experiences. And to be honest, that's exactly what we come across in the field. So I can't wait to share that with you guys. But enough rambling. Let's cut out to the field, fly around with Grumpy Trev, crash this cow, hit it with a speed gun, and find out, is this ultralight bind and fly little cheap racer going to be a good quad for you? All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Rightio, out here in the field. Let's rip it around. Trevor's just rolling. Woo! Is he going to take off again? He was away. Anyway, out here in the field, about to rip it around with this ultralight little egg. No HD footage today, because obviously it's not designed to carry a GoPro. So I'll show you some DVR. Head over to Grumpy Trev, the crash master, then crash test Cal, who I'm sure you're going to crash it as well, and then we'll hit it with the speed gun. All right, let's do it. Now, something I love about this hobby is I am learning every single day. There's always new stuff to discover, and that's exactly what I found when flying this little tiny, super light little 5-inch around. And it's made me realize how different people prefer different things when it comes to races and their opinions. And there's no real right or wrong answer, because Trevor, he has some different opinions. He wasn't the biggest fan. Cal absolutely loves it, and I was kind of on the fence between the two. So I can definitely see why, I'm sure people let me know in the comments, but there's sometimes more than one right answer, and people just need to find the right quad that works for them. Bit of a lucky crash there. But now onto the actual flight characteristics itself. And for me, it was so zippy. It was so fast to turn, and it just absolutely zipped around the track. Very nimble, extremely agile. It had plenty of poke. I guess when you push the throttle on, it just blips straight away. But was that always a good thing? And and I made a video a long time ago about heavier is faster and how I could pilot that around the track a little bit more. This thing turns amazing, all that sort of stuff. But the one thing I did find was it was harder for me to sort of work on my throttle management, and also to stay online. So when I was trying to stay on the track, on the course, getting those nice sweeping lines, which is what is good for a good racer, that's where I was having trouble. So that's probably where I was probably losing a few seconds on my time trial. Now, if you've got the skills to pay the bills and you can compensate for that sort of stuff, there's another little crash for me on the sort of working on that height. But if you can compensate for that sort of stuff, you're going to have a much better time with this craft. Now, in terms of top speed, I didn't really feel it too much, but it was very blippy. I guess the acceleration to get up to that top speed was very quick, but the top speed wasn't very, very excessive. And that's definitely due to the low pitch props and the smaller motors. You're not going to be getting some insane flat out straight line speeds, but that might not be a problem, because a lot of tracks nowadays, they're much more technical. You're zipping around. So if you've got a smaller technical sort of track, then this thing, I think it's going to make up for that in those sort of tight little twisty turns. But if it's a bit longer, then it's going to be missing out a little bit when it comes to those longer races. But it all comes down to the pilot in the end. And if you've got the skills to pay the bills, and you really can handle this sort of jumpiness of this quad, the agility, well, if you can keep it online, you're going to get lap times like you've never seen before. But in my experience, I think, and in my opinion, it is a lot harder to keep it online when it is this light, because every little blip of the stick you feel, and in my experience, that's not always a good thing. It's kind of like flying with a little bit less expo. It's so twitchy on the sticks that it's just something you really need to be aware of. But anyway, that's just my opinion. What we should do, let's hand over to Grumpy Trev and Crash Test Cal, because they've got two vastly different experiences with it as well, and it's very interesting to see what different people think of different quads. Rightio, Trev. So this is a little flying egg. It's an ultralight, I guess, little 5-inch racer with some 1806 motors. But what's your first impressions before we fly it around? And I've also been bending these props up like nothing else, so sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it is very light. Very light.
It's coming in at under 200 grams as well.
Yeah, well, that's impressive. Looks strong too, so I don't think you're going to break this in a hurry. It does look all right. Doesn't flex much. motors seem a bit small, but we'll give it a go and see what happens.
All right, let's rip it around. You want some new props, Trev?
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Give that lens a wipe, Stu.
Yep. Rightio, Trev.
Okay, let's take this thing for a spin. Okay, this is a flying egg.
And I should say it's pretty windy today too.
It is pretty windy. I can tell it's a light quad. When you do turn in this thing, it turns and it's not going out. Like there's no that initial inertia that you have with the heavier quads. This thing just turns. It turns really quick, actually.
Do you find it's getting pushed around by the wind more than normal?
You can certainly feel it. Yeah. But look, it is snappy, I guess.
Do you prefer this to your normal type of quad?
Well, look, it'd probably be okay. I'd have to do a couple of packs on it because it's flying this for the first time. It's just about getting used to the sticks because the response of it, flying this is totally different to any other quad I've flown. I've got to say that it really does feel light.
Do you like that or not like that?
Well, I'm starting to like it now because
okay.
I'm getting, it's hard to explain because it's, having not flown such a quad that's as light as this, it feels totally different. Yeah, it has got plenty of poke, like you thump it and it disappears just about. Look, I reckon it'd probably be good around a track. On a calm day, this would be really nice to fly. Look, struggling a bit with the wind we've got here. I've got to bring this in, the battery's getting down.
All right, hang on, I'll go get it. Alrighty, Trev, what's your grumpy Trev rating out of 10 in terms of performance for the little super light egg?
Well, actually, I reckon it did perform all right. I mean, out of the box, it flew quite well. So look, I give this probably a 7.5.
Yep. And what about value for money wise?
Yeah, look, not too bad. Probably probably about a 7.5 for value for money as well.
All right.
You know, because they say to leave these props on there, so it's probably can't do much with it.
Yep. What do you think about the smaller motor size?
Keeping
it light but putting an 1806 on.
Yeah, look, it's okay, but I'm not really a fan of it because it does limit to what prop size you can stick on it. So, yeah.
All right.
It's something different.
All right, nice. Thanks, Trev. Rightio, CTC, the handsomest man in high vis. We got the little 200 GT flying egg. What do you reckon about this bad boy?
It's light. Yeah, it's light.
Yep. What does that mean? Like, how do you think that means it's going to perform?
You'd think it's going to be good around a track. It's going to be a good track flyer because it means it can accelerate quickly and it can slow down quickly, which is what you want when you're going through a gate and making tight turns. So it's going to be a good track quad. The thing I don't like about it is the props that you basically have to use with this quad. It's got small 1806 motors, so therefore you're going to have to run fairly low pitch props, something like 50-40, pretty much all the time. You're not going to go any heavier than that because you're going to burn the motors out pretty quickly. So if you're sort of locked into one configuration with this quad, which is a limiting factor, you just can't run any props. But if you're quite happy to be limited in that way, then it's a great little machine. I'm not sure what the all-up weight is with the battery, but it feels like you could almost get it under 250 grams. I'm not sure about that, but look, it's a great quad, but it seems to me like it really should be a 4-inch, but it is what it is. Let's give it a go.
All right, let's put it back on and rip it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Cal, let's rock and roll. So we just did the speed test, and now it's your turn.
All right, let's see what this thing can do. Oh, it's got a nice punch. Oh.
What?
It's agile. It can turn on a dime. There's no doubt about that. Wow, I can't believe how well this thing turns. This thing is incredibly snappy. I can't believe this.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. I've never flown anything that feels quite like this. It feels like it's a 2.5 inch in terms of its weight and the way it's how agile it is, the way it can turn. But I don't know. This is really quite a different experience, and it's hard to quantify it.
Do you think it's easier to fly or harder to fly?
I think it's quite easy to fly, and I think it's, like I said, the only thing concerned me is that you're stuck with these props, but that's not a bad thing, especially if you're going to use it in the appropriate place. Like I said, with small or medium-sized tracks, this is just going to be fantastic. You're going to have a real advantage with this thing. The way it turns, the way it slows down, like you just.
What do you mean? What do you mean slows down?
Explain. Well, I can go flat out, straight up and through a gate, and then I can just let it off and just virtually come to a standstill to make a really tight turn and straight onto the next gate. So you get the advantage of that immediate slowdown and that very immediate acceleration you can put onto it afterwards. So from that perspective, it makes it a great track flyer, especially for small or medium tracks, because you've got that instant acceleration and that instant braking, which is great. And probably not the best characteristics for a freestyle quad, because you don't have that inertia to throw you over things, but you can throttle off and really come to a standstill real quick, and just jump on it again, and wow, this is unreal. I can't believe how it turns. That's really surprising me. Look, I better bring it in. I'm just destroying this battery, but.
Alright, summing up with Cal's famous 4 words. He says, I better bring it in, does a few more laps.
It's definitely worth trying. Look, if you've got a bit of spare cash or you just want something that's light and nimble, I'm not sure if this will bring you out under the 250 gram mark with a battery or not, but if it does, this would be a great quad to have in your quiver for sure. Yeah, so if you get a chance, you know, see it on I don't know how much it is. How much is it,
About
Stu?
$200.
Wow, that's a pretty decent price too. So for that price, you know, if you're in the market for something that's like this, I'd say have a go.
Nice. Thanks, Cal.
No worries.
Radio Cal, we're about to do the speed run. We've got it here, but Trevor left a bit early, but we forgot to ask him. Trevor, how much miles per hour is that little egg gonna go?
88.
What?
88.
88. All right, no worries. What do you reckon, Cal? One number for the speed run, miles per hour for the egg.
85.
I'm gonna be a party pooper. I'm gonna say 72.
Alrighty.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Trev.
Okay.
Alright guys, look, this is going to be a bit different in as much as this is an unknown for me. This is the lightest 5-inch I've ever seen. And with 1806 motors, 2500 kV, 1000 milliamp battery, I don't know what it's going to do. I really don't. I think we're going to be limited by the pitch of those props, so I think that's going to limit our top end. So if we get around 90 mile an hour, I'll be relatively surprised. But I'll tell you, it is a nimble little craft and it does move very quickly. It's agile. It's great for a small track, there's no doubt about it, small or medium. All right, let's do it, Stu. Let's see what this thing can do. Now we've got a little bit of a crosswind today. You can see that with the flags here, guys. Ooh. All right, come on. 84. I think I nailed it again, guys. I said 85, didn't I? 80. Right on the money. Nothing on that one. I'm the papa. 82. 82 mile an hour. Ooh, no! Get out of here. Get out of here. Ooh. Whoa! Oh! 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 This thing's bloody scary! Oh. Boy, I'm too dizzy. I'll go into a tree. This thing's scaring me. Yeah. Oh! Oh, mongrel! Stop it! Hey! Oh. This is crazy. Oh! Oh! Yo, mongrel! You start making me dizzy.
Alright, what were we miles per hour?
85.
85. Alright. That did better than I thought. Nice, and you're feeling a bit dizzy. Where was your Bushido blade today?
I wish I had it.
Alrighty, so there it is. There was my part 2 review of the 200GT Fly Egg LDRC, whatever it is anyway, link down below. But what did I think of it? And I know, look, this is just my opinion, and look, some people get very, very heated. A long time ago, when I made that video about heavier is faster, all that sort of stuff, a lot of people took that out of context. Some people, you know, had these completely different ideas and really didn't understand what I was trying to say, but I think this video really summed it up for me that everybody has different things that they find works best for them. Now for me, you know, I had an experience that was sort of between Trevor and between Cal. I did feel like 5 inches for me are easier to pilot around. These things do turn a little bit nicer, but it is harder to stay online for me. So they probably do turn and feel a little bit better on the sticks, but when you're trying to stay that track, that's where I found it a little bit difficult. And I'm sure there's going to be some people out there who are disagreeing, and you know, especially people who have built their business on having ultralights and all that sort of stuff. They're 100% convinced that lighter is always better, but for me, it was kind of a very different experience. Yes, it was good in some parts, but also not in some others. The speed was a little bit lacking as well, and the prop selection does make it a little bit limited, but if you're on a really tight track and you've got the skills to pay the bills and you like the way that these light, you know, super lights fly, then definitely on to a winner, because it was a very, very different flying experience. But overall, I've got to say, look, it did feel very different. I was impressed though, maybe not so much with the top speed, but on a super light track, you could rip this thing around and definitely come out with the gold. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Drop your comments down below. Remember, these were just my opinions, so I'm sure some people are going to get a little bit upset, but that's the best I can do. Subscribe for more FPV related content. Congratulations if you're a Patreon supporter or you've just signed up. Thank you so much, because one of the good one that I haven't bashed up is going to be going out to you. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying!